Today is Tuesday, September 3rd. We're talking about a huge spike in voter registration numbers, what seemed to prompt the surge 2 months before Election Day. Also, what may be the largest protest in Israel since the start of the war in Gaza. Plus, why thousands of American hotel workers walked off the job. And hint, it's not just about pay. What kept thousands of people from watching sports over the weekend, and which competitor set another record, adding to the dozens he already holds in his sport. We'll explain those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Americans seem to be getting a lot more interested in the upcoming presidential election. The nonpartisan organization Vote.org says voter registration has spiked 700% since President Biden announced he was no longer running and would instead endorse his running mate. Vote.org also says young people, specifically ages 18 to 34, have really led that surge, especially in key swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. If you haven't registered yet, just remember, deadlines are different for every state. Meanwhile, the top presidential nominees are still working hard to keep voters engaged. Over the weekend, both former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris shared messages about Labor Day. Trump wrote about how he believes in supporting American workers by negotiating free and fair trade deals and giving U.S. businesses the tools to thrive, and more. Harris made several swing state appearances where she promised to empower unions, protect workers' pensions and benefits, raise the minimum wage, and more. And in one event in Pennsylvania, she was even joined by President Biden, who said he plans to do everything he can to help his VP. Former President Trump did not have any scheduled Labor Day events, but he did make headlines over the weekend with an interview that aired on Sunday. In that interview, Trump told Fox News he had every right to interfere in the 2020 election. Of course, this comes as he faces both federal and state charges that accuse him of trying to overturn the results of that election. But the former president defends his actions, saying they were in response to election interference. That is, despite several courts, election authorities, and Trump's own Justice Department saying there was no voter fraud. So far, Trump has not yet said whether he'll accept the results of this next election either. That election is now just 63 days away. In South America, fallout is still growing from the recent presidential election in Venezuela. This week, a Venezuelan judge issued an arrest warrant for the opposition leader who's widely believed to have actually won against President Nicolas Maduro in July, despite Maduro claiming victory. The arrest warrant accuses opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez of crimes associated with terrorism, all because his party uploaded voting records to show he won the election in a landslide. This is likely to cause more outcry from countries, including the U.S., who believe Gonzalez was the rightful winner. Also, over the weekend, the U.S. seized President Maduro's plane. The U.S. Justice Department says it was bought illegally through a shell company and smuggled out of the U.S. Maduro has since used it to fly to Iran, Russia, and elsewhere. But now it's being held by American authorities in Florida. Well, tributes are pouring in for 6 more hostages murdered in Gaza. Their bodies were found over the weekend, and the Israeli military says they were brutally killed by Hamas. One of the hostages who died was a dual Israeli-American citizen, Hirsch Goldberg Poland, whose family has been advocating for his and other hostages' release. In fact, his mother recently gave a moving speech at the Democratic National Convention where she told her son to stay strong. Thousands of mourners lined the streets of Jerusalem yesterday to say goodbye to him at his funeral. Meanwhile, the death of the 6 hostages sparked what appears to be the largest Israeli protest since the start of the war in Gaza. More than 500,000 people have taken to the streets, calling on their government to do more to bring home dozens of hostages who are thought to still be alive in Hamas captivity. One of the country's most powerful unions also called for a rare general strike. Businesses, schools, banks, and airports have already been disrupted. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing back, saying the goal still needs to be total victory over Hamas. He blames the terror group for hostage and ceasefire negotiations falling apart. That said, there have been some brief pauses in Gaza fighting so the United Nations can vaccinate children against polio. This comes in response to the first confirmed polio case in Gaza in 25 years. Health officials are especially concerned about disease outbreaks as displaced people are crammed into tent camps and deal with widespread hunger. Now, the World Health Organization says at least 90% of children younger than 10 need to be vaccinated in a short time to prevent an outbreak. A large-scale vaccination campaign is happening now. A routine blood test may be able to predict your risk of a heart attack or stroke even 30 years before it happens. The results from a groundbreaking new study were published in the New England Journal of Medicine over the weekend. Now, this is something researchers worked on for 3 decades. They analyzed data from nearly 30,000 American women. On average, they were 55 years old when they enrolled in the 90s. At the beginning, they had blood tests done to measure 3 biomarkers. 1, their cholesterol, 2, a type of fat in the blood, and lastly, an indicator of inflammation. Over the next 30 years, about 13% of the women enrolled had some kind of heart issue, like a heart attack or stroke. Then, researchers looked back, and they found the results of the blood tests appeared to predict what patients' heart health would be in the future. Now, experts say this study could help doctors and patients intervene and prevent the worst outcomes, in many cases with medication. Even though the research was done on women, study authors say the findings likely apply to men as well. They hope doctors are already encouraged to do more testing now to catch any potential risk factors. All right, we have more news for you still coming up. But first, a quick break because this episode is sponsored by Quince. The first time I checked out all that Quince had to offer, I was so impressed with the variety of options, the style, and the quality of all the pieces, and the price. So now, as I work to shift my wardrobe from summer to fall, Quince is my go-to, always offering timeless and high-quality items I adore. Think cashmere sweaters from $50, pants for every occasion, washable silk tops, and so much more. The best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. I love that I've been able to wear my washable silk tank all summer, and now I can throw my organic cotton knit blazer right over it for a perfect transition to fall. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/newsworthy for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/newsworthy to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to the news. The long holiday weekend saw record travel numbers as people returned from vacation and other Labor Day travel. The TSA said air travel was up 8.5% compared to last year, and AAA said road traffic was up 9%. Combined, that makes this Labor Day weekend the busiest ever. And it's not over quite yet. Bad weather has delayed flights and travel plans across the country, and some people already planned on an extended stay away from home. Major airlines have even had to add flights to keep up with demand. So if you have travel over the next couple days, AAA suggests traveling in the afternoon. Most of the people returning home from their trips are likely to be on the road between 8 a.m. and noon. Thousands of workers at some of the nation's biggest hotels are on strike, asking for higher wages and better conditions. Employees at Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, and other hotels in at least 8 cities walked off the job. Around 10,000 people, including housekeepers, front desk clerks, kitchen and restaurant staffers, doormen, and bellhops, have been on strike. Workers aren't just asking for more money, they also want to return to pre-pandemic staffing levels. The employees say as guests return to hotels, staff are expected to keep high service standards without enough support. A group representing the hotels says wages have already gone up across the board this year, but acknowledge staffing remains a challenge. And some hotels say they're still willing to negotiate. Still, organizers of the work stoppage say they plan to keep striking at least a little while longer. 2 tragedies shook the sports world over the long weekend. 7-time NHL star Johnny Gaudreau died when he and his brother Mike were hit by an SUV while bike riding near their family's home in New Jersey. Both were killed. Gaudreau most recently played for the Columbus Blue Jackets as a forward. He also played for Team USA in international competitions. New Jersey police arrested the driver, who's suspected of driving under the influence. Then, in San Francisco, an NFL rookie wide receiver was shot in the chest during an attempted robbery, though he survived. Police say first-round pick Ricky Pearsall was walking in downtown San Francisco on Saturday afternoon when he got into a fight with a person trying to rob him. They say Pearsall and the 17-year-old attempted robber ended up getting shot, since during the fight, the suspect's gun went off many times. Pearsall's mother called him extremely lucky as the bullet passed through his chest and missed vital organs. He was released from the hospital on Sunday. The suspect is now in police custody. Well, sports fans all around the country missed out on the first full weekend of college football, as well as the midpoint of tennis's last major tournament, the U.S. Open. And it's all because of a contractual dispute. Disney, which owns ESPN and ABC, decided to remove its programming from DirectTV because the last agreement expired at the end of August. And so far, the companies have not reached a new deal. That meant a lot of popular sports coverage went dark. FX, National Geographic, and Freeform also were not accessible for 11 million DirectTV subscribers. No deal is on the horizon right now, so that means fans could keep being frustrated as the NFL season kicks off later this week. The competitive eater, who's known for dominating the Nathan's 4th of July hot dog eating contest, just set another record. Joey Chestnut ate 83 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes, shattering his own previous high of 76. Chestnut faced off with another celebrity eater, longtime rival Takeru Kobayashi, in a Netflix special streamed live on Labor Day. Kobayashi ate 66 hot dogs. Chestnut famously took the hot dog eating crown from Kobayashi at the 2007 Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Chestnut went on to win the contest 16 times during his career, while Kobayashi won it 6 times. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, a quick break to thank our sponsor. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then, Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. Your metabolism is actually your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going. And I've learned a lot about how my metabolism and body respond to different foods I eat and how much of various foods I need to be my healthiest. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/newsworthy to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/newsworthy for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, what's inside a camel's hump? You can play along with us in our weekly roundup email that comes out each Friday. Simply sign up to get it at thenewsworthy.com/email. As for last week's trivia question, what sport helped launch the 24-hour convenience store? The answer is football. 7-Eleven originally got its name from its opening hours, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. But in 1962, it also started the trend of 24-hour convenience stores. That's when a University of Texas football game in Austin created a late-night rush of customers at a local 7-Eleven. Not wanting to turn anyone away, the location stayed open throughout the night. And the idea stuck. The Austin 7-Eleven continued the tradition of staying open after football games, and the company expanded the approach to other Texas towns with popular football teams. Then, in 1963, 7-Eleven opened its first official 24-hour location in Las Vegas, and the rest is history. Today, more than 100,000 convenience stores in America, not just 7-Elevens, operate around the clock. Well, thank you so much for listening today and making us part of your daily routine. We'll be back tomorrow with more news you need to know. Until then, have a great day.